have a video in store for y'all. Hi, let me tell y'all something. My schedule is out of whack. Again, I haven't uploaded the past couple of Fridays, and honestly, I have no excuse for y'all. I was going to get all dolled up for this video, but then I was like, I really don't feel like it. So how I'm looking with this bonnet is how I'm looking today, and that's just gonna have to be how it is. I have something I need to get off of my chest, and this may or may not be related. This isn't inherently related to booktube, in my opinion. It's not really related to books inherently, but it's kind of close to it. I've noticed a trend, and I'm going to talk about some of the events that have been occurring lately. I've noticed a trend in content that it becomes popular, and the people who create said content, who are the main people responsible for creating this content. I've noticed that content that typically gets really, really popular is often made by people who are, for lack of a better word, bigots. And I wanted to call into question, like, why are good things made by, like, terrible people? Because I was talking to my friends about it, and they were like, yeah, bad people make, like, really good stuff. And I'm like, I want to call into question why we consume the content we consume and why we like the things that we like. Oh, girl, we're going to get into all of it. So, before I talk about that, let me talk about the examples I have set up here, because honestly, the drama that occurred was one right after the other in a row. So I'm just going to make one big video about it and get it done, because I was like, I can make individual videos about these people, but I'm not gonna. First on the list, on my Twitter. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I don't usually engage in Twitter a lot. Twitter is just for me to, like, look at stuff that I personally like and for my friends to send me stuff. But other than that, I'm not, like, on Twitter like that. Like, if I get sick of Twitter, I'm gonna log out. So, on Twitter, I peeked and saw that there was some drama going on with a particular author. And I will say that this particular author is not the first person to do this, but it is a good time to bring up these issues once again. Their name is Yvonatha Leland, I believe, and she wrote a new release called The Writhe and the Reckoning. It came out in, I believe it just came out like a month ago, or like in October. What had happened was this author sent out ARCs of their book for reviewers to read. If you don't know what an ARC is basically called an advanced reviewer copy. It is a copy of your book that is essentially meant for reviews, but it is not the final product. Usually this is towards, like, getting close to the end of production, where you kind of, like, know how everything looks. You kind of know what the cover looks and, like, stuff like that. Because you're in the process of, like, this is what it looks like. This is the physical copy of the book. When you have ARCs, you send them to people called beta readers. These beta readers are basically test readers that will give you feedback on the ARC and let you know what needs to be changed. Very rarely do you make major changes in this stage of production. It's usually, like, very little tiny things. The biggest thing that might change maybe is, like, the cover of the book, right? Okay. So, this particular author, sent out ARCs to people to This particular author sent out ARCs for people to review. I forgot the name of the website. That it was on, but basically people were receiving the ARCs through this website, and they posted their reviews on Goodreads. The thing was that the reviews weren't that great. For whatever reason, the author also chose to cut out the last chapter from the book and was basically like, oh, the story's not done. If you want more, you'll have to like buy the actual book, which like I've never published a book, but as far as I know, that's like you don't really do that. Like that's strange behavior. You don't like cut out the last chapter of your book in the arc to like incentivize people to like buy the final copy. Like that's not how that usually works. It's usually, from my understanding, that you have the book in and of its entirety. You usually send the full copy of the book over. You don't necessarily like cut things out to like make things like fit, and like that's not usually what you do. This author went on to Goodreads and began harassing people about their review. And I say harassing because usually they were saying things like, well, it's obvious you didn't read the book, and you didn't talk about these themes in the book, and da 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 da. And very much so like you didn't review my book the way I wanted you to. So it got to the point where, because by the time I looked at all of this, her responses were deleted. So I'm guessing that Goodreads deleted her account, which I believe has happened to like certain authors before. This person then went on to Twitter and started like tweeting about like Goodreads haters or whatever hashtag she had going on about like reviewers, and then started saying that like apparently this author thought that they had to like they didn't get permission from her to review the book on Goodreads, which is also not how things work. Like if you're asking someone to review your book, they have full rights, whatever. Okay. That was a whole thing in and of itself. This was basically a full-on case of like people didn't like my book and now I'm mad about it. Pretty much. She has also been harassing people on Twitter. And then last time I looked at it, which was a couple of days ago, was that she was like taking a break or something like that, and she wasn't gonna engage with anyone on Twitter anymore, and da 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 da. And then this whole other argument of like Twitter being a toxic place and this, that, and the third, which is also a whole nother discussion for another day. But like every YouTuber and their mama is out here like Twitter is so toxic, and I'm like, is it toxic because it's actually toxic, or is it toxic because you can't delete comments that are negative? Regardless, okay. I don't particularly feel strongly about this author. This is their sort of first book. This is their breakout sort of book, and like it's not a good first impression to make. I know a lot of people were also commenting and tweeting like, I'm not going to be buying this author's book just because of how they engage with people on social media. The thing I was more interested in, and this is a discussion that has been happening for a while now on BookTube, I believe, but just like whether or not, if reviews are meant for readers, because some people say reviews aren't meant for authors, they're meant for other readers, or like authors shouldn't be on BookTube, not on BookTube, authors shouldn't be on Goodreads at all. They shouldn't read reviews. They have no business doing that. My 2 cents on the fact. I believe authors have a place on BookTube. They have a right to see what is being said about their work. I do not necessarily think they should engage. I do not necessarily agree with them responding and commenting and responding to people. I don't think that should be done. But I think there is a place for them to have a right to see what people are saying about their book, just because some authors may want to, grow and learn from that. But I also don't think it's right to start harassing reviewers. That being said, last time I looked at the book on Goodreads, it has very low reviews. H.P. Lovecraft, ooh girl, let me tell you something. There are very famous authors and books, and we're going to get into another very famous author in a second, that are praised justly because they are the first to sort of start a genre. H.P. Lovecraft, the reason why, and let me tell you this, because I'm going to say it. It's good. I know it's going to be controversial. H.P. Lovecraft is extremely liked by the white community. Not to say that there aren't black people that like H.P. Lovecraft. I've met a few, but for the most part, H.P. Lovecraft is loved by the white community and the non-black community. And I get it. Like, H.P. Lovecraft was like the first guy to like write horror and like spooky monsters that like people low-key like only monster fuckers really look at. But at the same time, I haven't had no attachment to H.P. Lovecraft. He writes a genre that I particularly don't care for. And I read some of his books and they were problematic in my opinion. But that's a whole nother story for a different day. It has always been known for the longest amount of time that H.P. Lovecraft is racist. And people have been making excuses for this man. And then I would like to reiterate, H.P. Lovecraft was a racist. That I remember on Tumblr, and oh my god, Tumblr was the worst place to look at anything H.P. Lovecraft related. Floating around on my timeline was people saying H.P. Lovecraft was racist because he had a pet cat that was a black cat that he named the N-word with the hard R. That was the cat's name. And everyone was like, he's racist, and then someone made like a long master post that was like, he's not racist because the cat was given to him and he can't change the name of the cat. And I'm like, he most definitely can though. Like, if he gets a cat, if I give someone a cat and I tell them the cat's name is this offensive word, you have full responsibility to like change the name of the cat. You can call the cat something else. Like, it's not as if you are obliged to call. All right, made excuses for that. Then come back. Apparently, some letters that he wrote. I don't know who he wrote the letters to, but some letters came out that like H.P. Lovecraft was not only racist to black people, but was also racist against Jews. So, you know, that's where we're at. And you can go ahead and Google it yourself and look at in detail the way he described these groups of people. I cannot imagine. Good luck with that. I've also had issues with just how he depicts people of color in a lot of his books that people so like praise so much, especially including Cthulhu, because a lot of people try to act like the book that had Cthulhu in it is like one of his best masterpieces. That one is far from perfect too. But the issue here is that at this point it is widely known that the man is racist, but yet people essentially don't care. And it's the whole argument of like separating the art from the artist. You can like the book and you can like what the books are talking about, but you don't necessarily have to like the artist. Which I think that's I have mixed feelings about that type of argument, because to me the issue is never about liking the artist. The issue is about supporting them and continuing to support them and give your money to someone who is a racist. But you know, if that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. But that also is like a slippery slope, because some of his books do still have like racist intonations to them. Because a lot of times when he does include a black character in his book, it's always someone uneducated and usually a servant or a slave. They usually like die. It's all types of like fucked up things that happen to whatever, right? But like, I can't imagine being a person that's like, I like this so much that I'm gonna ignore its flaws, its inherent flaws in it, because, you know, it talks about monsters and I really like monsters and horror, so I'm gonna ignore the fact that there's like racist intonations in it. What are we doing? What are we doing? Seriously, like, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to sit down and be like, what am I really doing? What am I really saying right now? Because it's all cool and dandy that you like monsters and you like horror and you like this and you like that. But at the end of the day, there's still like a story that, I don't know. I've been trying to make it make sense in my head for so many days. And this is why I'm making a video, because I just need to get this off my chest. But like, what are we doing? We're making excuses for content because we like this person or we like this aspect of it, so we're just gonna ignore all the other bad stuff about it. And that's not just limited to books. This applies to YouTubers. This applies to musicians. This applies to animators. This applies to so many different people that I've seen come and go, that make these shows, that make music, that make videos, that make whatever it is that you like so much that you're willing to make excuses, especially for racists. It's always for racists, where it's like, yeah, they're racist, but their makeup is like really good, so I'm gonna subscribe to them. Or yeah, they're racist, but they wrote a really good book, so I'm still gonna like it. Like, what are you doing? Okay. J.K. Rowling. Again, let me preface this by saying I have no strong emotional attachment to Harry Potter. And I know that's real controversial, especially in BookTube. Everybody and their mama is like hard on for Harry Potter. I was never that attached to Harry Potter. If I even dare say, I was more so attached to the first two movies than anything else. I tried to read the books. I read them. I was bored, if I'm being completely honest, and did not finish them. But then again, fantasy and magic and all that type of stuff has never been my cup of tea. I've always been more of a realistic person. I've always been a realist. I didn't realize that at the time, but I've always been a realist. And people, even nowadays, are telling me, you're a realist. I don't like fantasy. I don't like sci-fi. I don't like all the pretend magic, whatever. All right. Not my cup of tea. J.K. Rowling. She's been an issue for quite some time now, ever since she made Twitter. Well, I don't know what year she made Twitter, but ever since she made Twitter and was like, this person is gay, this person is black, this person would be, if Harry and his friends were real, they'd be streamers. Which doesn't make sense to anything in the stories, but okay. Dumbledore is gay. Just things that make absolutely no sense. And it's fine because everyone was like, she's ruining the series. She's wrote... I've also heard some people argue that like everything she's written after Harry Potter has been hot booty butt cheeks. I don't know. I don't read her work. J.K. Rowling has been really serving it up Gary's way for a long time now. Recently, J.K. Rowling has been receiving backlash because they support it's let me try to explain. There was this woman, don't remember what her name is. If I'll be completely honest, I only really half care. I'll put it up on the screen somewhere. Who was working for a company, and she had an account that like basically like in the bio or description of her Twitter account was saying like where she works or who she works for. During this time, she was giving her opinion about trans women, and basically, in so many words, was saying that she does not believe that trans women are real women. I am not here to talk about that. That's a whole nother thing in and of itself. Listen, whatever. Because of this, the company fired her. J.K. Rowling then went onto her platform, her Twitter, to say that she believes that she basically agrees with like this woman that got fired and like stands by her in her opinion and all this stuff. I have seen people cancel J.K. Rowling. I think I once saw someone say like J.K. Rowling party is over. The okay boomer meme, which is all fine and dandy. Holding J.K. Rowling accountable for her words and her actions doesn't really bother me one way or the other. What bothers me is more so I need to ask, just like I always ask when we have a creator who is showing their ass in bigotry, what now? What are we doing about Harry Potter? Because y'all are still going to buy the books. Y'all are still going to have the book clubs. Y'all are still going to make your kid read it. Like, so what now? Are we still reading these books? Or, because to some extent, It doesn't take away that the books are good, but J.K. Rowling is a person that is set for life. I'm talking about life. These books were written in the 90s and are still, like, so many people constantly tweet, Harry Potter is a great book you can still read today. That a 12-year-old could pick up, and 7, 8, whatever, can still pick up today and still enjoy, and it just be just as good today as it was when it was first written, because not every book or book series has that sort of longevity. Like, after maybe even a year, 5 years, it's over and done with. Nobody really remembers, no one's talking about it. But Harry Potter has that sort of legacy. The issue becomes whenever you give traction or any sort of attention to this book, you are inherently supporting J.K. Rowling, who still, yet again, lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion. Someone was saying in another video of theirs that she makes more than the, like, British government does. So, what now? What do we do now? What are we doing? Are we still, like, tweeting about our houses? Are we still cosplaying in, like, the uniforms? Are we still trying to buy the wands and the robes and the scarves and are we still doing that? Or, like, and if we are, how are we balancing that with, like, not supporting a bigot? I don't know. Like I said again, I have no emotional attachment to Harry Potter, so I cry your tears now. I can throw out the books, but what are we doing? What are we doing? We're not done. It's not over. Camila Cabello, who ironically someone who is in my Spotify playlist. All right, I listen to a lot of Spotify. Anywhere I go somewhere, I'm always on my Spotify. So she was in my Spotify playlist. It recently came out that Camila Cabello, who, first of all, let's rewind all the way back into 2015, I think it was, 2016, when Fifth Harmony was still a thing. And they broke up for other reasons. I just don't think that they were going to work together as bandmates. It was a lot of issues that I think weren't going to work out. Like, bringing them together just wasn't working. I think the members individually or as a part of a different group would have been fine, but their personalities coming together just wasn't it. Regardless, there was an issue where Normani was being attacked by supposedly, allegedly, Camila's fans saying racist and derogatory things to her. And it seemed as though when that was happening to her on her social medias, a lot of her band members were backing her up, saying, please don't do this. This is not okay. Don't treat her this way. Everyone except Camila Cabello. She seemed to have stayed rather silent about this situation, to which a lot of people, in my opinion, kind of jumped to some conclusions saying, oh, she's racist. She says the N-word and this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. That was the whole thing. Skip to today. I don't know what day this all occurred. It had to be this week or last week. Came out that Camila Cabello allegedly had this Twitter. And people said it was her because the profile picture was her face. And it was just basically a lot of racist things. Images, reblogs, racist jokes. Most of them seem to be related to, like, black people. I think there was, like, a couple of Asian ones too, but majority black people. And so when people questioned her about it, which in my opinion, I thought she was going to be like, that's a fake account. That's not real. Da-da-da-da-da. She admitted to it. And she put out this apology, which I think was on, like, Snapchat, which who puts... Y'all with these apologies are going to drive me insane. Like, you have a whole PR team and they really... No one told you not to put that on Snapchat? Okay. Put it out on Snapchat, and it wasn't even, like, her face talking. It was, like, white letters on a black Come on now. Like, that's what like emo 16-year-olds do when they're like depressed and they make a Snapchat that's like, I'm so sad. That's not something a grown woman should do when accused. Regardless, the apology in and of itself was hot booty butt cheeks. Um, at no point did she actually say that, like, I was racist and I'm sorry and I'm not going to do it again. It was very much so, from what I remember, she was like, there are words I used in my past and I was ignorant and da 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 and I didn't know anything. Oop, sorry, dropped my notebook. But just very much so like, oh, I didn't know any better and I was ignorant and da 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 da. These supposed account was made when she was 15. I don't think she uses it actively anymore, but it was when she was 15. There are a list of excuses that white people will use, in particular when called out for racism. And you could probably count them off of your hand because you've heard them before. Usually, I was ignorant. I didn't know any better. I was young and dumb. People, people say it in rap songs, so why can't I say it too? And it's just a word. It doesn't. I can say words. They're just words. Argument. I call them excuses because that's what they are. They're excuses. I'm not necessarily a fan of anyone saying the N-word, but it's universally, for the most part, accepted that white people should not say the N-word. But in particular, Camila Cabello's excuse of her being like, I was young and dumb. At no point, and I'm mad that this has even become a socially acceptable thing to say for certain people, at no point in time should you ever use ignorance as an excuse for racism. Ever. 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 And I don't even know why this started. Stop it. There are so many other 15-year-olds that don't use the N-word and that know off the bat that it's something that you shouldn't be saying and know the weight of what it means. Even if you don't know historically the meaning of it, you know that it's not something you say. You know that it's an insult. You know it is not something that means friend or buddy or pal. So feigning ignorance, just stop it. Cut that out. Now, this whole other thing of like, if no one really taught her, I don't really know how you were out there in 2016 and no one told you that the N-word is bad. Girl, get the fuck out of here, honestly. Not a single soul told you, hey, saying the N-word is a bad idea. So, because I, like I said earlier, am very much so a person that is not going to separate art from artists. Not because I can't, but because I refuse to, but because I refuse to support someone like that. I'm not supporting someone who calls me the N-word in their free time, alright? If y'all don't feel any type of way, that's your whole prerogative, but I'm not supporting someone who, like, whatever. Okay. So, Camila Cabello songs have been removed from my playlist, and I had to go through every single playlist and make sure. I think, first of all, a lot of people don't even like her music like that. And it's only really like one or two songs that people really listen to. Main one being Havana. The other one might be Senorita. Might. Strong might. And there's still some people to this day that will argue, well, she's apologized. So it's okay. Guys, don't be mad at her. It's all right. Stop talking about it because she apologized. First of all, if you're a person who feels as though, oh, this person apologized, so everyone else should stop talking about it, don't ever, and this is a life lesson that I pray people would learn more, don't tell other people how to feel about something. Point blank, period. Don't tell someone else how they should feel about something, especially if it's something that affects them. Really, how they feel about a topic is none of your goddamn business to dictate in the first place. But if someone apologizes for something and they choose not to forgive them, that's their decision. It has nothing to do with you. Whether you like that person or not, because people did that a lot with Jeffree Star and still do that with Jeffree Star. Absolutely not. Stop that. So, that being said, all of the people I have mentioned in this video, we now begin the question of what now? Honestly, Camila Cabello's career was not on and popping that much in the first place, so I wouldn't be surprised if she disappears after so many months or so many years from now. I really don't see a career for her in the future, but that's none of my business. But in terms of the more legendary sort of creators, what now? Are we done with their books? Are we done supporting them? Are we done praising them and tweeting them and oh my god, let's cosplay, let's do this and let's do that, let's make a game based off of their books? Because people love to do that with H.P. Lovecraft, like to make books and TV shows and movies and this and that based off of the H.P. Lovecraft, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. What are we doing? Are we done or are we not done? And if we're not done, how do we prevent this from turning into like supporting bigots? I don't know, because I'm the type of person that's like, I'll cut ties now. I'll see it. It ain't nothing to me to cut someone off, but let me know what you think, because we're just out here. I was going to mention Rebecca Sugar, but honestly, I don't have the energy anymore and I'm tired. So, that's all for today. I'm interested in hearing how people think creators should be held accountable for their actions. And that's not necessarily limited to YouTubers, because I know there's this whole thing. There's a whole nother drama thing going on with drama channels and tea channels and commentary channels and not calling certain YouTubers out and all this and that and third, whatever. But also, what about outside of that realm when it comes to bigger, more influential people? More influential for some people it might not be. What do we do? What are we doing about authors and writers and animators and script? What are we doing? That's all. I am turning off the camera because I don't have anything else to say. Thanks for watching this video. I'll check y'all later.
1, 2, 3, funky. My darling, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.